This video is for all the B2B businesses out there who send manual reports. This could be weekly reports, monthly reports, quarterly, could be based on performance, or maybe you send out assessments to your clients as well. Now, the obvious issue with doing all of this manually is time. That's the headline big one. Sometimes you have teams that spend 10, 20 hours a month. Sometimes it's almost a full-time job just formatting reports, taking data from Excel, CRM, other systems, and trying to put it all together, maybe in one big spreadsheet, maybe trying to make separate PDFs for clients and then sending them off. And usually it's the same task every single month, and it's someone or someone's jobs to stay on top of it. Another big issue with doing reports manually is that it simply does not scale. If you've just got the one person who's on reporting as part of their other role, they'll have plenty of other things to do. And as you increase your client volume and the things you want to do with your reports, you may want to make them more detailed or give more insights. It just ends up with more and more of a burden coming in on this person. And with a lot of companies, it either means this person gets super stressed out, or you have to end up taking on support from elsewhere. And usually no one internally really wants to do it. So it's usually some new administrative hire that gets lumbered with this. But obviously that is an expensive addition to make. The other issue with doing reports manually is its drain on team energy. This is especially true when you've got senior people doing reporting, where usually they're not sometimes as detail oriented and will find that work really taxing to their day. I know I'm someone like this as well. If I have to spend 3 hours doing a load of manual admin, it really wrecks me for the rest of the day. Data accuracy can be another issue with reporting manually. Now, although usually the data is already in spreadsheets and has been exported from various systems as opposed to lots of manual entry anymore, although this still could be the case. But even if it's in systems, usually someone needs to take that data and maybe they need to add in extra spreadsheets as well, with maybe it's some that they've created and they've got their own formulas in there using to calculate different metrics. Then maybe it needs to go across to a Word document with some stuff like client's company name, some information about them, and then the data that's just relevant for them. And then maybe it needs to be spat out to a PDF report. Now, throughout this process, although the data that started off over here was all absolutely fine and no problem, throughout this course of action, it only takes sometimes one formula to be off or one cell to be incorrectly formatted, and then this is going to have a knock-on for the formulas, and then this is going to have a knock-on for the Word document, and ultimately the client gets something that's incorrect. And these mistakes, even with someone that's really on the ball with this stuff, mistakes will happen. Now, if we can do this automatically, we get the benefit of massively reduced errors. If they're already built into the program and haven't been spotted with whatever solution you decide to go for, which we'll go through a little bit later, that's different. But for the most part, if we can get away from something manual and something more automated, we're going to have a much higher accuracy rate. Another issue is knowledge siloing, and this is where a particular person in your team holds key information about your data and part of your company process. So if you've just got one person that sends critical client reports each week or each month, for example, and they suddenly leave or disappear off the face of the earth, you could be really left in quite a stuck position. And it's a scramble then for other team members to figure out what on earth they're meant to be doing, how to format the reports, how to send them, how to validate and check the data. All of that stuff that took someone else months to learn can just be lumped on someone else's shoulders. So earlier I mentioned automation and software, which we'll get into some more options for in a moment. But one thing I think is worth looking at, first and foremost, I think it's good with a lot of processes, is can it be made simpler? Your report probably has different sections. It might have a headline metric section. It might have a deep dive into various data. It might have a recommendation section, and it might actually be several pages long. And I've had this before with clients where we dig into it and when we start looking at the information they're sending to clients, they don't need all of these pages. And that we can simplify things so much when it's like, okay, we don't need actually this complicated section, and we don't need this, and we don't need this. And also sometimes clients actually prefer a shorter report. Most people don't want to be reading through reams and reams of data. They're going to be scanning it and pulling out key information. So I think if you can do that off the bat, that's a good time saver without having to do anything different, change any team, anything like that. So the next thing to look at is other software out there on the market. Oh, actually, and sorry, not just software out on the market, but maybe the software you've already got in-house. There might be certain exports or capabilities of the software you already use that you're underutilizing, or that you just don't know that it exists. I recommend seeing some of the tools that you use, where you get your data from. Are there any videos or training guides you can watch for them? Or maybe there's someone you can contact from their onboarding or training team to help you guide you on how to do this. If the tools that you've got already don't do the job, you can start to look further afield for other software solutions that might really help speed up the process and supercharge your reports. If with your data, ideally you need a client dashboard where your clients can log in, you can give them a set of permissions to get in and see their own dashboard, create their own reports, manipulate the data that you've got for them in different ways, then do check out a product that I've created called Report Hero app. I'll put a link to it in the description for the video. And the unique selling point of this product is that it's not something that you have to set up yourself. We'll do all the configuration based around your data, your brand, and you can get it exactly as you'd like your clients to see it. Another option, if you do a lot of your reporting and data stuff in Excel, is to simply contact and work with an Excel specialist. I'm definitely not that person, but they are out there. They can do all sorts of amazing things with lookup tables and multiple sheets and formulas and some scripting language to do some great things with your reports if it's already in Excel. I don't think that's always the best option, but it can be sometimes the fastest if you're already super embedded with that technology. Another option, if it is a fairly expensive problem within the business, is to develop your own piece of software. It's nothing big, you're not building a big enterprise system, but a small tool that can spit out the reports for you just the way you want to. Maybe they need to do some special calculations or some special formatting. That is an option. You need to be a little bit careful about who you hire and who you work with for those sort of projects, because they can get expensive. They can be more complicated than they need to be, but usually for most people's reporting needs, it can be something quite small, which can get the ROI through the time saved. So there's a load of options out there for you to pick from. If you want help deciding what's going to be right for your business, along with other technology decisions, I offer clarity sessions that can help uncover what's going to be the best path for you to take. You can find the link to that in the description for this video.